Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2024 edition of the Alachua County Youth Fair and Livestock Show. We're coming to you live here at the Alachua County Agriculture and Equestrian Center right here in Newberry, Florida. This evening, we'll be starting out with the Steer Bred Owned Show in just a few minutes. This will be immediately followed by the Steer Show, and then we'll have our Beef Showmanship contest. In these shows and contests, we'll get to see these young women and men demonstrate their knowledge and their skills with the steer or heifer under their care. It's a great competition and an opportunity for them to learn valuable lessons that apply to everyday life, such as accepting responsibility, winning graciously, or losing with dignity, and understanding the amount of work and determination it takes to become a winner. We'll join that show in a few minutes, but first, here's a word about the Texas Trailers giveaway happening at this year's Youth Fair. Now, let's take you to the arena where they're preparing to start this evening's events. We don't provide running commentary during the show. Instead, you'll see the sights and hear the sounds just as if you were here in the arena with us. Enjoy the show!
All right, attention in the swine area. We need to start clearing out for the beef show. They have 7 classes and then we will reopen after the beef show.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you wait for the event to start tonight, go out and visit some of our vendors that came out to support the Alachua County Youth Fair and Livestock Association. We'll also have some people tomorrow morning. We'll have breakfast as well. So come out early, get your breakfast, lunch, and dinner all here at the Youth Fair. Also, Texas Trailers once again stepped up and has donated this trailer for us to raffle off. For a donation drawing. So make sure you go over there and grab your tickets. Just in front of it, there's a table set up on the promenade there, so you don't have to come down to the lower levels to get it. You can also get your tickets online on Alachua County Youth Fair and Livestock Association, or Livestock Show, acyfls.com. We also have cut and wrap hog tickets up there as well. So make your way up there for those too. Thank you all. We'll be started momentarily. If you'd like to also, if you have people at home that would like to watch this, we are live streaming. Live streaming on the Alachua County Youth Fair and Livestock Show YouTube channel. But if you can't get to YouTube and don't know how to do all the technical stuff, you can actually go to the acyfls.com and there will be a link there for you to go to the YouTube site. So go on there. We thank Crazy Dogs Event Live Streaming Production Company for doing that, volunteering his time for all that. Thank you. If you are not needed in the beef area, please exit stage left or right. If you are not needed in the beef area, please exit the area. We'd also like to welcome out Alachua County Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Shane Andrew here. It's good to see him out here supporting our agriculture students. Thank you, Coach Andrew.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the main event of the evening. We're going to start off with the the Steer Bred and Owned Show tonight. Then we'll go into the Steer Show, and then we'll go into the Beef Showmanship. So starting off, let me introduce you first to our judge. Our judge tonight is Will Watts. Will's from Brookhaven, Mississippi. He was a four-time high individual overall livestock judging high school state champion. Attended South Plains Junior College as a member of their livestock judging team, where he was top 10 finishes at national collegiate contests such as Kansas City, Louisville, and Houston. He's a recent Mississippi State graduate, and currently he oversees his family's cow-calf and stocker cattle operation. He also coaches his local county 4-H livestock judging team while placing and assisting junior exhibitors with all show species livestock. Fans, give a warm round of applause to Will Watts. All right, we're going to get kicked off with our bred and owned steers coming into the ring right now. Coming into the ring, Miss Abby Castles. Now entering the ring, Mr. Clay Rowland. Entering the ring, Miss Madeline Worley. Entering the ring, Mr. Brandon Weber. And last but not least, entering the ring, Miss Savannah Johnson. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your bred and owned steers.
Well, first and foremost, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. Really excited to work through these cattle and these kids, not only tonight, but to be with you guys tomorrow as well, and to sort through some breeding cattle. And I think this is a great way to start the show. I think in the Bred and Owned Steer Show, out here with these 5, there's a lot of differences. If you want to talk about types and kinds, and just kind of where do you want to lay your hat or hang your hat in terms of priorities, I think there's a lot of sort between these 5. We're going to go ahead and leave them like they stand. The young man here directly in front of me is going to win. And I'll tell you, if you want to talk just tandem and about the parts and pieces that we're going to discuss on down the lineup, I think that one just suits me the best. Just in terms of first and foremost being really practical in terms of his structure and his body design. Being the most correctly finished calf just in terms of actual finish and fat cover, and then still having the right kind of true shape whenever we start studying that one from behind, and then still puts it together in a proportional and balanced look from the side. I'll tell you, that one's not the biggest or the longest or maybe the coolest looking up front. But I think we still have to go back to some fundamental basics out here within this class in terms of body, practicality, shape. That's just a really high-quality market fundamental steer to go ahead and start off. Young man's baldy steer that comes second is one that I liked a great deal. When that one hit the gate, that one's definitely here to win. I love that calf, and just in terms of his look up front and his presence. And then I guess even from there, if you want to talk about shape, I think that one's square enough if you study him out through his upper hip and down to the surface. Biggest thing for me is you step off of that calf profile, and the first thing that strikes you is that one's look up front. But then the longer you study that one's a little bit barer in terms of his finish. That one's a little bit harder and tighter in terms of his flank. Still like to change that one in terms of his rear leg. And I guess that's what makes it really close, is you want to say that's a good-looking calf, but in my personal opinion, in terms of actual lower joints, hock, and depth of heel, the calf that wins just has the advantage there, and that's why the baldy will sit second. Love the power and the shape here, the calf in third. Just in terms of if you want to hang one upside down, that one in terms of red meat yield and power and shape is one that I like an awful lot. I guess for me, though, that one's just too unproportional in terms of his look. That one's too thick and cresty about his head and his neck. That one's more awkward and just generic in the way he's built out of his rear leg. Young lady's smoke calf coming next is going to kind of follow the same pattern, just but at a lighter weight. One that's really big, really stout, really square. Need to change that calf structurally, though, just in the way he's built out of his rear leg, even more importantly, out of his front shoulder and knee. Same can be said for the calf on bottom. One that certainly, in terms of just growth and product, is one that I like it from a mass standpoint in that regard. But big picture, that one's the plainest about his pin. That one's the barest in terms of his cover. And that calf, in terms of his actual shoulder, knee, and front skeleton, need to be changed. But let's give all 5 of these kids a hand. That was a really good way to start our show.
All right, from our Bred and Owned Steers, first place is Clay Rowland. Second place is Brandon Weber. Third place is Savannah Johnson. Fourth place is Abby Castles. And fifth place is Madeline Worley. Let's have a round of applause for all of our Bred and Owned Steer exhibitors. Once again, just a reminder, we do have this from Texas Trailers. They've donated this once again this year. We appreciate them always supporting the Alachua County Youth Fair and Livestock Show. The Texas Trailers here in Gainesville. We want to make sure you know that there are tickets available at the table over there just on the other side of it. So we are giving that away this weekend. So you can also go online and get it as well too. So on acyfls.com. As well as cut and wrap hogs, that all that money goes to the scholarship, so and to the Alachua County Youth Fair and Livestock Show. So make your way over there. Thank you. Getting started with our first round of steer exhibitors. First class, we're going to have entering the ring Chloe Fiegel, and also entering the ring Kenzie White. Tomorrow's schedule lineup looks like the dairy goats are going to check in at 7:30 a.m. and then we're going to have an egg check-in at 8 a.m. and then we're going to scramble some eggs shortly after that with the vendors over here and have some good breakfast. And then we'll have the dairy goat show at 8:30, followed by the all goat skillathon, the poultry judging at 9, rabbit show and showmanship at 10:30. And then at noon, we're going to get started with the beef show with American Bred and Owned, Beef Bred and Owned Show, and then the beef show. At 5:30, stick around for the celebrity show, or those that would like to be celebrities. We're going to have that. It'll be a fun event this year, something a little bit different. And then followed by the 6 o'clock evening primetime event of the swine show. All these pigs over here, they're all getting hydrated up, getting ready for a long weekend. So make sure you come out tomorrow for that event.
Good pair. I'm going to just market fundamental steers here into our first class. Both calves have the right kind of shape and muscle expression and pattern and width. Maybe that we're after. I guess the biggest thing for me, and why I like the young lady at the front of the line to go ahead and win, that calf's just more relaxed and laid back in terms of his angles. That one's got more slope to his shoulder and his knee. That calf's just more comfortable out here in motion with just a little later maturity pattern in terms of actual length. And frame height. I like that calf a good deal. Young lady here in second's got one that I really like, the power and shape like we discussed. Maybe a calf, though, that just needs to be redesigned structurally. A calf that's really early and just in terms of his maturity pattern. One that's just too upright off of both his front and rear skeleton. But a really good pair. Nice way to move into our own steer show.
All right, so first in class, Kenzie White. Second in class is Chloe Fiegel. Let's have a round of applause for our Class 1 exhibitors. Class 2 coming into the ring, we have Miss Abby Castles. Also entering the ring, Miss Michaela Sweat.
Good pair of cattle here into our next class. For me, I like the young lady smoke steer to go ahead and start, and it's pretty simple. Muscle matters, and that's why she's going to go ahead and win. That's just the bigger hip, square back, heavier muscle steer that just has more product and the right kind of body shape, just skeletal width to go ahead and lead off. Young lady that's going to sit second with the black-eyed steer, she's got one that sounds structured, maybe one though that's just too flat and too plain in terms of our actual pin set, in terms of our rib shape and our forerib. Also have a little swelling going on there into our front left knee. I'm not really sure what's going on there. I read that calf sound enough in terms of his angles, but maybe just like to see that one a little looser in motion as well.
All right, so Class 2, first place, Abby Castles. Second place, Michaela Sweat. Let's have a round of applause for our Class 2 exhibitors. Class 3 coming into the ring. This is in the range of 1,300 pounds. First in the ring, Mr. Clay Rowland. Also coming into the ring, Miss Madeline Worley.
Pair of cattle that we've already seen and discussed a little earlier into the Bred Owned Show, and we're going to leave them the same way. I like the young man to go ahead and lead off and to win this class. And as we discussed earlier, that's probably one of the soundest structured steers that we've seen, not only in the Bred Owned Show, but as we've started and kind of transitioned into the Owned Show. But then on top of that, just that one in terms of his kind, how practical he is and opened up about his center body, how big and square he is out of his hip. I love the way that calf's built out of his rear leg, and then that just allows him, with all that in tandem, to lay on the appropriate and the correct amount of finish, and just how smooth that one is, still balances. I've liked that one a lot since we first saw him. Let's commend this young lady here that's going to sit second. She's done a really good job hanging with this steer through both sets of classes. And I'll tell you, between the two of these, just particularly, this one actually fits me more in terms of his actual length and frame score. But with that said, and as we talk, a calf, though, that I just need to see more laid back in terms of his shoulder and his knee. That one's too tight and bare over his forerib, still a little plainer out of his hip. But a really good pair of steers here out of this middleweight division.
All right. Class 3, first place, Clay Rowland. Second place, Madeline Worley. Let's have a round of applause for our Class 3 exhibitors. Class 4 coming into the ring, the fourth and final class of the steer show. We have weights from 1384 to 1415 coming into the ring. First into the ring is Mr. Brandon Weber. Now entering the ring, Miss Savannah Johnson. Now entering the ring, Mr. Tucker Thrift. And last but not least, entering the ring, Miss Haley Molander. All right, the kids right there in the front and center on the rail, if you could please get off of that. Please down in front, if y'all could get off that white railing. It's not a bungee rope. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we still have some of our vendors over there. I've seen chicken tenders. There's all kinds of good stuff over there. If for some reason they run out of food, we do have all these pigs back here, and they have ham boogers.
One of our biggest classes, and I think one that has some challenge and some sort, because I think there's some quality, but in the same breath, everybody just kind of has their place and their spot within this lineup. Young lady steer calf here that we're going to use to win does so rather handily. That was one that was brought here to compete and to win, and he's going to do just that here today, because I like that one a whole lot. In terms of his actual body shape and how round he is up high, how big he is out of his pin set, then to still get out and to be able to cover ground and be that loose and soft and flexible at the surface, I think is awfully special. If we're going to tweak that one may be just a nickel too big in terms of his shoulder, especially in terms of to his lower heart, right in behind his elbow. He could be better there. I'd give you that, but that's the highest quality one with the most big-time pieces out here within the lineup. Young man's baldy steer that's going to come next is one we've already talked about. I really like that calf up front and the look that he gives in his front third. I guess the biggest thing you have to remind yourself of is we're still talking steers, and as quick as you want to gravitate to that one in terms of his look and his kind and the front two-thirds of that one, it's just is he big and stout and square enough, and I think he's square. I just wish there was more to him, and then we can still change that one in terms of his actual hip length and then the set to his hock. Young lady brings a really big, powerful one that's just chock full of red meat, and I really appreciate that. If we're talking about hanging these up, I like that calf a whole lot, maybe as good as anything that's come through through the ring today. I guess just from a balance and presence standpoint, that one needs to be dialed down in terms of his bulk and his look up front. That one's too frail in terms of his actual rear leg in relation to his body. I think that takes away from his balance. A little different speed here on bottom. The steer that comes fourth, a more American influence steer, and one that I think within the right division could be awfully competitive, because I think he has some shape and some turn and some power. I guess out here in this lineup, though, that steer's just too loose in terms of his look up front and his sheath. One that's just too generic in the way that he's built and put together from the side. But just a good carcass quality steer to go ahead and round out this class. Let's give all four of those kids a round of applause. That was a really good group.
So Class 4, first place, we have Haley Molander. Second place, we have Brandon Weber. Third place, we have Savannah Johnson. And fourth place, we have Tucker Thrift. Let's have a round of applause for all of our Class 4 exhibitors. All right, coming back are the class winners for the final drive. From Class 1, entering the ring, Kenzie White. From Class 2, entering the ring, Abby Castles. From Class 3, entering the ring, Clay Rowland. And from Class 4, entering the ring, Haley Molander.
Well, this steer show has been awfully good. Maybe not quite the numbers of some as you travel up and down the road and get to sort in terms of just quantity, but I think there's been some quality top to bottom and through each one of these classes. Just really quickly, we'll go back through each class winner, and then I'll grab you guys a grand in reserve. A young lady out of Class 1's a steer like we talked about that's got the right kind of shape. Just one that's really stout and really square, really expressive, especially right in behind his blade and his shoulder. He won that class just because he was the sounder one of that pair. I guess you get him out here in this lineup, the same things hold true, but in the same breath, that one's maybe just a little bit more generic, still in the way that he's built and look. One that's still just too raw in terms of his actual finish and fat cover and endpoint to go ahead and compete today. Young lady's smoke steer that won Class 2. One that just from a product and power standpoint is hard to deny. We've talked this calf numerous times now, and I love his shape. I love how opened up he is. I love his body, his power. He's got the right kind of finish and condition. For me, though, one that's just a nickel too moderate. He's too bulky in terms of his shoulder, too straight up front through his front skeleton. One that's still a little tighter in terms of his loin. That just needs to be changed off both ends in terms of his running gear. Young man brings the steer out of Class 3. He's one that we liked a great deal. Just in terms of his practicality, his body, his just finish. That's just a really good market fundamental-oriented, kind of carcass-driven steer that still has the right kind of balance. I guess maybe out here in comparison to one, what makes it tough is that one is just too plain in terms of his actual look. He is more generic in the way that he's built out of his rear, too. Then we get to one that I think is just more the kind of the freak or the anomaly out here at the end of the lineup, just in terms of the way that one's built, in terms of his joints and how comfortable and laid back he is in his angles. And then to still have that big a back and actually how square he is out of his pin set. You get in behind him, I think that's really hard to do. You talk about making cattle that opened up in terms of their skeletal width, but still giving them the right kind of angles and softness in terms of their joints at the surface. I think that's a really hard tandem to make, and that one still just has the right kind of presence and look up front. Maybe, like I said, if we tweaked him ever so in class, I think that one in terms of his actual lower forerib and his heart to his shoulder, I think is a nickel too tight for me. But that's getting really picky on one that was brought here to win. He's going to do just that. That's your grand champion.
So your grand champion's Haley Molander from Class 4. Coming into the ring will be the second place from Class 4, Brandon Weber.
We bring that second place one back in, and I think that gets really close again between a pair of cattle that maybe we've already placed and discussed out of our Bred and Owned show. For me, I like the young man out of Class 3. He's going to have your reserve.
Reserve grand goes to Clay Rowland from Class 3. And now we'll pick the top 5 to place the top 5 for points. Third place is going to be Brandon Weber. Fourth place will be Abby Castles. And fifth place will go to Kinsey White. Let's have a round of applause for all of our Steer Show exhibitors. And our top 5 here in the ring, once again, grand champion Haley Molander, reserve grand Clay Rowland, Brandon Weber in third, Abby Castles in fourth, and Kinsey White in fifth. All right, we're going to take some pictures here momentarily, and then we'll go right into the showmanship for the beefs. So stretch your legs if you need to, but we're going to get right into it as soon as we get done with pictures. This is a perfect opportunity also to recognize some of our sponsors. We will have some of these brochures, these pamphlets that will have all of our sponsors in them. They'll be available. Some have already been passed out, but we'll have some more come available as well. But in there, obviously, first is Texas Trailers. Once again, while you're up walking around, grab yourself some tickets for it. We appreciate Texas Trailers of Gainesville for supporting the Alachua County Youth Fair year after year after year. Also putting all this volunteering, streaming online on YouTube is Crazy Dogs Event Live Streaming Production Company. We appreciate them. You can go online and visit them, crazydo.gs. Crazydo.gs. You can go on there and see all the different stuff they do for corporate meetings, concerts, agriculture shows, equestrian events, sporting events, fundraising events at crazydo.gs. Also, thank Farm Credit of Florida. Farm Credit of Florida, longtime partner of the Alachua County Youth Fair and Livestock Show. Watson C&D, United Rentals, Florida Farm Bureau, Cowboys Barbecue, DW Pest Control, Mitchell's Specialty Meats and Bakery, Life South Community Blood Centers. Once again, make sure the blood mobile is out there. Go out there, give blood, donate blood. There is, I believe, a competition still going as well too between chapters and organizations with 4-H and FFA. So go over there and donate your blood, and then choose which group you want to donate yours towards. Also, HCA Florida, North Florida Hospital, Gatorland Kubota, Alachua County Cattlemen's Association, Archer Automotive and Tire, the Front Runners FNGLA chapter, Circle H Ag Sales, quality hay, feed, and farm supplies here in Newberry, Florida, Alachua County, Florida, ViStar Credit Union, Ernie's Southern Off-Road, GRE Signs, Edward Jones Matt Surrency, Whitfield Window and Door, Decker Construction, J&S Jones & Son Fire, Santa Fe Ford, H2 Engineering, and then Friends of the Fair, Micanopy Friendship 4-H, Jack Gaskin, Campus USA Credit Union, Matthew and Shannon Brady, Windsor Warriors 4-H, Molly's Custom Silver, KL Partners, Creative Virtue Crafts, Capote Cattle Company, Davis Site Prep, Shelby Thomas Creative, and Holder Framing. Once again, thanks to all of our sponsors. If you'd like more information on how you can sponsor or be a part of the Alachua County Youth Fair Livestock Show, go onto the website acyfls.com. Also, we have the sale, the auction coming up on Tuesday. Registration is earlier around 11, and then you can buyer's luncheon, and then we'll start with the auction at 1. So come out here and be a part of it. We have a whole bunch of different opportunities for you to be able to bid on animals, but also you can do add-ons, flat rate donations, and we certainly appreciate it to help these kids with the expense of their projects. All right, getting started on our showmanship, our beef showmanship. Entering the ring in Class 1, we will have Abigail Hutchins, Brooke Castles, Charity Mykoff, Holly Moore, and Kaylee Fringo. This is Class 1. Intermediate, 11 to 13.
Great way to start our showmanship class. Just really briefly of kind of how we're going to run through our heats. We're going to go through and pull 2 to 3 out of each one of our heats, especially here in this intermediate division when there only being 2 classes. Then we'll bring them back in to select our top 5. I'm going to go through and just talk each one of these kids individually and tell you some things that I like and some things we could change or tweak maybe about each one of them, and then let you know the ones I'd ask to come back to compete for our top 5. Young lady here at the front of the lineup, I think, just does a flat-out phenomenal job. From the time she hits the ring, just in terms of her presence, her intensity, the way that she leads that heifer and her actual hand placement and posture, her feet and legs are always set and efficient. She's got that heifer at 12 o'clock. I think you do an awesome job. Young lady that comes next here with the Brahman Bull, one that does really good just in terms of our feet and legs being set and being efficient. Maybe some things we could change, though, ever so slightly about our posture and our presence. Wish we were out in front of that bull's nose just a nickel more, maybe just a little straighter in the way that we stood and the intensity and our posture on the lead. But I think first and foremost, when you're talking about showmanship, it's feet and leg placement and getting that done in an efficient manner, but also having that correct, and I think you do a really good job in that regard. Same can be said for the young lady coming next. In terms of just feet and leg placement, I thought did a really good job throughout the class. Maybe could change our posture on the stand, maybe some of the same to mimic the young lady that we just talked about. In terms of just getting out in front of that one's nose, stepping back off of that heifer just a nickel more. Then the young lady that comes next for the bull cast one that I think is another one that just mimics a really high quality job and image from the time she hit the ring. Eye contact, posture, presence, There's a lot of intensity, and she's here to win, and I appreciate that. I think maybe just kind of got in a bad circumstance with the cattle on either end of you there. When you tried to make your circle, that's not necessarily on you. Could have left maybe just a nickel more space, but I think you did an awesome job. Then the last young lady here on the end we're going to talk about is actually our junior division champion. She just wanted to, I guess, rival up and try to come into the next division and compete, and I think she's doing a great job. I wish everybody would put their hands together for her. She is going to be the junior champion. She's doing an outstanding job. Maybe just needs a little more time and experience, and I think that's going to come. She sticks with it. With that said, the young lady here on the end that's making the circle directly in front of me, I'd like to ask her to come back, and the young lady with the bull, we'll see them back for our final drive.
No, Abigail. Right. I messed you up in that. So our junior division champion was Kaylee Fringo, who was out there with our intermediates, just to recognize her. Let's have a round of applause for Kaylee Fringo. Coming back from Class 1 is going to be Abigail Hutchins and Holly Moore. Now entering the ring for Class 2, we're going to have Aiden Lepianka, Kinsey White, Laura Lee Shindowich, Peyton Osteen, and Trinity Hines.
come into this next division within this intermediate age group, and I think it gets a little tougher. The cattle are wanting to be a little more restless, a little harder, just to get the right kind of sort in terms of our showmen and the quality of job that we're doing. Just to go back and to follow the same pattern, we'll talk through each one of them. Young man at the front of the lineup hit me really hard when he come through the gate, just in terms of his posture, the presence, the way that he is at the lead. I think it's just maybe as much my speed as anybody out here within this lineup. Heifer's not wanting to set and work with him quite as well, but he does a really high-quality job, a high-quality individual, so especially within this division. Young lady that comes next is one that we've already seen throughout the steer show, and I think that's starting to wear maybe a little more on our project and not wanting to stand and set just right, but she does a really high-quality job as well in terms of getting that one stuck and has been all night. The young lady that comes next is just really smooth in the way that she works that heifer and gets her stopped and planted it in position. Wish we'd have got that one's feet set a little more efficiently there in the beginning when we stopped profile, but now we've got that heifer set at 12 o'clock, and I think you just do a really nice, easy job, really easy to watch. Really smooth. Same can be said for the young man that comes next. I think one that at the lead and the standstill is one that I really like, just in terms of his speed and his posture and presence and the way that he's just really relaxed, but still gets that heifer set and does a really high-quality job. I like that a whole lot. Young lady here on the end of the lineup, maybe not getting quite the same kind of cooperation with her project, and it's starting to show, but one that you can tell isn't their first time and has some experience. Maybe we just need a little more cooperation with our project throughout this class. So with that said, I think it makes it a little more challenging, especially with kind of our project starting to wear, and I'm sure it's getting closer to feeding time for most of us at home. With that said, though, the young man at the front of the lineup, I'd ask him to come back. Young lady directly behind him with the steer, then the other young man here with the heifer that's directly in front of me. I'd like to see those three back for our final drop.
So coming back from Class 2 is going to be Aiden Lepianka, Kenzie White, and Peyton Osteen. Let's have a round of applause for all of our Class 2 participants. All right, we're going to get back into the intermediate final drive, the Class 1 winners, then the Class 2, or the Class 1 callbacks and the Class 2 callbacks. So coming into the ring is Holly Moore and Abigail Hutchins from Class 1. From Class 2, we have Aiden Lepianka, Kenzie White, and Peyton Osteen. Let's have a round of applause for all of our callbacks for the intermediate final drive.
let's first congratulate all 5 of these individuals that made it back. I think the quality's really deep, and I think the 2 that we're going to talk on the top end, then I'll show you how I like them here in just a second, are awfully good and awfully close. Just to follow the same pattern, I'm going to go through and talk each one individually, then I'll go out, and this is your top 5, but I'll put them in order of how I feel like they should go tonight. And I'll be honest, said the top 2 are awfully close. If you took the pair switch up top, I know that's maybe more of an actual cattle breeding term, but if you wanted to switch the top 2 showmen, either one of those 2 young ladies could show cattle for me any day. Young lady here at the front of the lineup, I think is awfully good and has been since she's come in. I'll tell you, we talked in class maybe if we were going to tweak, we kind of got in a bad spot. Needed maybe just a little more space down there, especially with the cattle on either end. Said that's not completely a knock towards you, kind of just a tough draw and situation to be in. But I think just in terms of what you do on the lead is one that I just kind of gravitate toward in terms of style and the way that you lead your bull, you're out in front of your nose, your posture, the way you carry your stick. But first and foremost, it's feet and legs and getting them set and being efficient. And I think we've done an awfully good job of that all the way through. I'll tell you, if we're going to nitpick that just a nickel, I do think our front foot show side has been off just a shade. It's off just a shade here now, and I think that makes it really close, especially whenever you're in a class that's this tough and this deep. Young lady that's going to come next is another one. Hit me hard, first one through the gate in this division, and it's been really just kind of gravitating to go back toward it in terms of just her style and the way she gets that heifer set, because this one's always spot on. There's not a foot that's out of place, even a half a step, in my opinion, the entire time. That one's square when she needs to be square. She's got the appropriate amount of spacing for that heifer in terms of actually how her hip and hind legs built now. That one's just always 12 o'clock. I appreciate that, and that's something that goes a long way with me as we get out here to this lineup and make a decision, because I think a lot of your style mimics the young lady that we just talked about, and it's awfully close. The young man that comes next is one that I like, really smooth, just a really high-quality job of what he does on his end. I just wish this heifer would have maybe worked with him just a little bit more throughout this class. And I know some people want to preach that that's time at home. I'll tell you that, yes, that can be true. In the same breath, you can also just have a bad night in terms of your heifer not wanting to work with you. And so I can't swear by either way on that. I just wish she maybe would have worked with you a nickel more, because I think you do an awfully good job. Young lady that comes next with the steer calf is one that's been working hard all night, and I think she gets that one set appropriately. Maybe just not quite the same presence in terms of our posture of what we do at the lead is something that we just talked. Young man here at the end's kind of had a bad go. We come back to the final drive. I liked a lot of things that you did in heat in terms of your posture and demeanor. Maybe wish we just fight through and kind of work a little bit harder here as we get late into the night and not want to settle and go ahead and finish. But with that said, let's give all 5 of these kids a round of applause. I'll go out and show you the 5 in which I like them.
All right, so intermediate showmanship, grand champion Abigail Hutchins. Reserve grand, Holly Moore. Third place, Aiden Lepianca. Fourth place, Kinsey White. And fifth place, Peyton Osteen. Let's have a round of applause for all of our intermediate showmen. All right, entering the ring is senior showman, Class 1, Adeline Ruiz, Brandon Weber, Chloe Fiegel, Clay Rowland, Lexi McElroy, and Mackenzie Bailey.
Good group of showmen here into our next age group. Just to go down the line briefly and talk about each one, and then I'll show you the two that I'd ask to come back or like to see back in our final drive. Young lady here at the front of the lineup with the F1 females, one that I think just does a really smooth, consistent job. She's absolutely deadly just in terms of feet and leg placement, getting that heifer stuck, and just being really effortless in the way that she goes about that. I like the job that she does a whole lot. Young man that comes next with the red female is one that's hit me hard, not only in the steer show, but then we come back and get one that wants to cooperate a little more, even just to kind of let him show himself off and the skills that he's got in terms of getting one set. The young man at the posture, in terms of at the lead, his posture, his presence, what he does up in front of that heifer, I think is awfully good. He gets her set, and then it's lights out from there. I think he does another high-quality job. A young lady here with a steer that's going to come next, one that I think knows where we need to be set in terms of getting our feet and legs right and what it needs to look like. Maybe just needs to be a nickel more consistent in terms of getting that one set up, and I think some of that may come with just getting a little more cooperation out of your project. And same can be said for the young man coming next. He did an awfully good job in the steer show. We switch and go to a different animal, and I think this heifer is just not wanting to work with him quite as well out here in this lineup, because I think as we've watched him show throughout the night, he does a really good job. Just wish that heifer would cooperate and work with him a nickel more. Young lady that comes next in terms of getting our feet and legs set and in the right spot I think you do a really good job, maybe just a little more intensity when we come right through the gate to kind of go ahead and work our way up. Same can be said for the young lady on the end that's got the cow. She's doing a really good job of getting that one setting in the right spot. Maybe just like to see you out in front of that heifer's nose, just a little more intensity when we come through. So with that said, we're going to ask the young lady with the F1 Tiger Stripe female to come back and see us, along with the young man with the red baldy. I'd like to see them back in the final drop.
Coming back from the first class is Adeline Ruiz, as well as Brandon Weber. Let's have a round of applause for all of our Class 1 exhibitors. Coming into the ring, Class 2, Senior Showmanship, Abby Castles, Aubriana Caldwell, Jaylee LeBron, Madeline Worley, Michaela Sweat, Savannah Eckert, and Tucker Thrift.
We're going to move pretty efficiently through these older heats because I think when you get to this age point, it just kind of calls for that, and it dictates that these kids be a nickel more efficient in getting them set up, getting them put together the right way. And to go through and talk each one, I think that just is kind of a prelude or an introduction to the young lady here at the front, because that one is always set up just right in terms of her feet and leg placement. She does so in a really efficient manner. Just really like the job that she does start to finish. Young lady coming next, one that has that heifer set up. Maybe I could just wish we had a little bit more intensity in terms of us on the lead and the halter. Also wish for the size of our heifer calf and our age and maturity. I wish we had that one just a nickel shallower in terms of our actual spacing off of our profile leg. I think you move that heifer's profile leg in another full step, and I think it makes her that much square. It allows her flank and her body to come back into her that much more. As these cattle get older, you like to see a little more spacing because they're more mature, they're longer, they're heavier. Wish we could just square that one up and get our feet underneath us maybe just a shade more in regards to our actual project. Same can be said for the young lady here that comes next. A lot of the same qualities, really smooth, but one that I wish maybe just had a little more intensity. Wish we could get that one set up just a nickel faster and more efficient. efficient. Young lady that comes next does a really good job in front of that one in terms of what she does on the lead and the chain and the halter. I really like just her style. I think it's been one of my favorites that have come through. She gets that one set and does so in a timely fashion. I guess if anything, if we wanted to kind of pick on you maybe just a hair, that heifer was set perfect when you stopped profile the first time. Then you tried to mess her with her foot. Then she only moves it in closer. Then it just got worse. That heifer was set perfect. She set just like she was now. Wish we would have left her alone because I think she was set right to begin with. Young lady that comes next does a really good job in terms of what she does at the stand. I just guess we need to fix that one in terms of getting our front feet square, being truer and getting that one set up. Young lady that comes next does a good job in terms of getting out in front and leading that heifer and the way she holds herself and the stick. Maybe just not quite the cooperation to go ahead and get that one set. Then I like the young man on the end here. I think he gets that one set in a pretty efficient way and gets that one really square. Just wish we could get that one's head up, have a little bit more presence about us. So with that said, I like the young lady with the gray Brahmin female. I'd like to see her again for the final drive, as well as the young lady here directly in front of me. We'll ask her to come back.
Coming back from Class 2 will be Abby Castles and Madeline Worley. Let's have a round of applause for all of our Class 2 showmen. Entering the ring for Class 3 Senior Showmanship, Alicia Hoy, Anthony Davila, Haley Molander, Caitlin Tuning, Lily Fretwell, and Sophia Rick. This is Class 3 Senior Showman. Want to recognize also Jen Stolley from J. Stolley Photography. She's here tonight, but will be here throughout the fair, and we'll be taking pictures. Pictures will be posted on her website, and then also a link on the Alachua County Youth Fair Facebook page. So stay tuned for that as they come available.
Another high-quality group that I guess has some similarities that we're going to talk about through a majority down the line, and then we'll talk some differences. and the one that I'm going to ask to come back. A young lady that starts, I think she has the right idea in terms of getting that one's feet and legs set, being really efficient in doing that, and I think she does a really good job. Maybe if we were going to tweak that one just a nickel at the stand, that one show side front foot's not square enough in terms of from the top of her shoulder all the way through the ground. Wish that one was pulled up just a nickel more like it is now. She was too far back. Now we're straighter in terms of from the top of our shoulder all the way to the surface, being set a little better. And in the same breath, I think maybe just switching the way that we hold our lead, I think just gives us that much more intensity in terms of our look and presence up front. The young man can kind of ditto and do the same in terms of just the little extra presence and getting that one maybe just a nickel too far stretch in terms of our profile leg, like we talked about in the previous heat. To that young lady, a younger calf, one that just needs to be a little bit square and more underneath himself. That's just going to give him that much more body and that much more substance. When we stretch him out, that just starts to kind of pull and wants him to start to break in terms of behind his shoulder and his look. Really like your posture and your presence at the stand. I think that's just the kind of style that I gravitate toward. Just wish we could square that one up and get him set just a nickel better. Young lady that comes next, I think is just bulletproof in terms of doing the little things right early, of getting that heifer set and 12 o'clock or where she needs to be, and then just the demeanor and the aggression that she has. And I'd say it's kind of a silent aggression just in terms of how seriousness that she's taking once she steps into the ring. It was evident in the steer show. It's the same out here for showmanship, and I really like that. I'm a fan of that one and her style. Young lady that comes next, I think, does a really good job in terms of feet and leg placement. Maybe could just change the way that we present ourselves up front, be a little bit square in terms of our stance and our presence, be a little more out in front of the nose like you just changed and you're doing now. If we want to tweak, could still square that one up off of his front feet a shade. Young lady that comes next, I think, does a really good job in terms of just her stance and the lead and getting out in front of that one. Just wish we could square that one up on her feet and legs, get her set a little more efficiently. Young lady here on the end's done a really good job of getting this female set from start to finish. Just wish maybe we had a little bit more presence and air about us whenever we hit the ring, a little more aggression when we first come through the gate. But she's doing an awfully good job with that big cow. I guess for me, the one, though, that just kind of hit me the hardest that I'm going to ask to see back, young lady here directly in front of me, she'll come back for our final drive.
Coming back from Class 3 is Haley Molander. Let's have a round of applause for all of our Class 3 showmen. Entering the ring for the fourth and final class of the senior showmanship divisions, Amber Rogers, Kyra Witt, Layla Paris, Lindsay Stevens, Rayleigh Steele, and Savannah Johnson. Ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder that many of the exhibitors you've seen in the ring tonight will also be showing again at noon tomorrow. So make sure you come out, or if you're unable to make it, we will also have this to where you can see it on the YouTube channel. If you don't know how to navigate YouTube and find Alachua County Youth Fair and Livestock Show, you can go to our webpage, acyfls.com, and there will be a link there. Once again, that's noon tomorrow for the Beef Show.
final heat in this division, and each one of these young ladies out here are working really, really hard. If you would put your hands together for them, it's getting later into the night, and I think 1 through 6, they're doing an awfully good job. Like I said, maybe the hardest working heat that we've had so far to sort through. A young lady here at the front with the Beefmaster Influence heifer is one that I like a whole lot in terms of her style, her demeanor, and the things that she does on her end. A little greener heifer, not wanting to work with her quite as well, especially we get pushed up here into the corner up front. But I think whenever that one's set and she's 12 o'clock and that young lady doesn't settle, man, do I really like the job and the image that those two project and put together. I said, if anything, he said, just a little greener, not wanting to work with us quite as much, but I appreciate you not settling and to get the most out of that heifer. That's something that means a lot to me from this end and being on the mic. Young lady that comes next, I was really good at the standstill. Just wish that heifer would work with her maybe a little bit more to go ahead and get her set and get her feet square back underneath her. But the job that you do on the halter and up front, I can appreciate a whole lot. Same can be said for the young lady that comes next. Just your posture, your presence, your demeanor, I think, spot on. Just wish that heifer would just relax a little bit and work with you. It's keeping her kind of stretched out from underneath herself. Said just wish she would work with you a little more to give you a better shake out here within this group. Young lady that comes next is one that does a really good job just in terms of feet and leg placement. Maybe could just change our posture, maybe our demeanor. I'm big on first impressions coming through the gate, and just maybe wasn't quite as intense in terms of first impression whenever we come through. Young lady that comes next, I think, does a really good job with this Brangus Influence female here in terms of getting that one set, being square on all 4 corners, having that one set appropriately. She does a really good job from start to finish out here. Same can be said for the young lady on the back with the big cow. In terms of getting our feet and legs set and doing the fundamental things right, still having the right kind of eye contact and presence about ourselves and our posture up front. In terms of our presentation is one that I like. So with that said, we're going to keep 3 out of this group, the young lady with the Beefmaster heifer up front, and then the 2 young ladies here on the end with the Brangus, and then the oldest cow at the end of the lineup. We'd like to see all 3 of those back momentarily for our final drive.
Coming back from Class 4 will be Amber Rogers, Rayleigh Steele, and Savannah Johnson. Let's have a round of applause for all of our Class 4 exhibitors. All right, entering the ring from Class 1, Brandon Weber, Adeline Ruiz, Abby Castles, Madeline Worley, Haley Molander, Rayleigh Steele, Amber Rogers, and Savannah Johnson. Let's have a round of applause for our senior showmanship final drive.
what an awesome way to end and kind of just finalize the night. This senior division of showmen 1 through 8 is absolutely just outstanding. From those of you that have been watching on and kind of going along as we went through these classes, this is what it's supposed to look like. Just in terms of what the kids are supposed to look like at the stand and at the lead, what the cattle are supposed to look like whenever they're set and they're presented. In terms of feet and leg placement, it's just an art and a beauty to watch these kids set and work these projects, because I think 1 through 8, every one of these showmen are really, really high quality. It makes my job on this end of the mic not only to just pick your winner, but all the way through your top 5 awful challenging. But it's just a testament to the quality. And not to go ahead and jump and prelude into tomorrow, but if this is any indication tonight of what the breeding show is going to look like tomorrow, just in terms of quality and intensity, I'm really fired up to get back out here and to see you guys come lunchtime tomorrow. With that said, moving back to the kids, I think 1 through 8, they do a great job. I think there's a lot of similarities all the way throughout the lineup. I think it's really close on the front end. We'll kind of go back through and highlight each one just really briefly. May sound like a broken record because, like I said, I think there's a lot of similarities of what these kids do and what it should look like. Young man here on the front, I think is just picture perfect in terms of getting that one set. That one hasn't been off, I said, not even a half a step, not only within class, but we come back for the finals. He's just been flat out bulletproof. I'll tell you, it's kind of a double-edged sword because I think you got the best dancing partner out here in terms of one that's just wanting to cooperate with you. You get that heifer set, she's not worried about anything, she's not going to move. You may have the easiest job out here in terms of the one to set, but man, whenever you get her parked like that, that's what it's supposed to look like. I appreciate that a whole lot. You do an outstanding job on the front of the halter. Young lady here with the F1 female is one that we talked in terms of just being so smooth in terms of getting that heifer set. Super efficient, gets that one set on time in terms of feet and leg placement, but just does a really smooth job start to finish. You don't take away or detract from that heifer or make it any more elaborate in terms of doing the extra stuff to draw attention more onto you than the female, and I appreciate that. I say that in a good way because, man, can you get that female set? Like I said, just that's a picture-perfect example of making it look easy, making it look effortless, making it look like anybody can grab the halter and do that. And as you and me both know, that's not the case every day in and day out. Young lady with the gray Brahmin female does another really good job. She's smooth. She gets that female set. Maybe wish we just left a little more spacing to get that one set. A nickel better here within this final lineup, but you've done a really good job start to finish all the way through. Young lady that comes next, we talked about, I really like just your style and your presence and what you do in front of that heifer's nose and on the lead. Just wish maybe we'd have squared her up just a nickel more as we come back out here into this final 8. Young lady that we've talked about next, and just not only showmanship, but all night, it's been ultra consistent in terms of our feet and leg placement, getting them set, having the right kind of demeanor and posture. I think you've been really high quality. Just I said, since you entered the class on the steer show, it's been the same way through showmanship. It's been a pleasure watching you show and exhibit animals tonight. Young lady with the Brangus female is one that I really like. Just does a really bulletproof job in terms of feet and leg placement, posture. Certainly one out here that's in contention. Now, the young lady here with the big cow on the end maybe didn't hit me quite as hard initially right through the gate as some, but in terms of doing the little things right, I think she's a perfect example of that in terms of getting feet and legs set, efficiency, getting the most out of that cow, and then still having the right kind of eye contact and ring presence to go along with it. Really like the job the young lady with the Beefmaster heifer does as we round out. As we talked and we started this lineup, said maybe the young man on the end's got the easiest project. I'd argue with anybody that you may have the hardest one to set out here within the lineup, and you still do a really good job in doing that just because of your style and how great of a showman you are, and I think that speaks volumes. Because if we were asked to switch and you go through and take a straw poll, I bet the other 7 out here wouldn't want to show that one in terms of showmanship or have you switch with them. Because like I said, I do think that one's the hardest one to show and to get stuck. And you do a really good job of getting the most out of that female. So with that said, let's put our hands together one more time. This group's been awesome. I'm going to go out and get you guys a top 5, and then I look forward to seeing y'all back tomorrow.
All right, our top 5 for senior showmanship, grand champion, Haley Molander. Reserve grand, Brandon Weber. 3rd place, Rayleigh Steele. 4th place, Adeline Ruiz. And 5th place, Amber Rogers. Let's have a round of applause for all of our senior showmen. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes tonight's shows. Once again, make sure you tune in to acyfls.com for the schedule of events. We do start bright and early with the Dairy Goat check-in tomorrow at 7:30, followed by the Egg check-in at 8, Dairy Goat show and All Goat Skillathon immediately following at 8:30. The 9 a.m., we're going to have the poultry judging. 10:30 a.m., we're going to have the Rabbit Show and Showmanship. At noon, we'll have the American Bred and Owned Show, Beef Bred and Owned Show, and the Beef Show. And then at 5:30, we'll have the Celebrity Show, and 6, we'll have the Swine Show. Fans, we appreciate you joining us. We'll see you all tomorrow.
We need the top 5 intermediates for pictures, top 5 intermediates. We need you for pictures.